Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories. From stock markets to currency news, Business Review covers the most up-to-date stories in the global financial world.
Louis Xiao spent 12 years building up his Beijing-based tour guide company, Leo's Private China Tour. At the start of 2020, his company had 20 staff. Now that's down to 5, including himself. His company has just had 3 months with zero income, and he and his few remaining colleagues are desperately trying to hang on. In April in previous years, the 37-year-old's company would look after over 1,000 tourists, both part of large and small groups, but now he has none. He said this situation is dire, awful, disastrous for him, and he has got no idea how to get through this year. Around 60% of visitors Louis' company normally looks after are foreigners, and around 40% are local. During the epidemic, neither would come, but now foreign tourists are banned from entering China. Although Beijing has reported scarcely any new domestically transmitted coronavirus cases for weeks, draconian measures remain in place. These measures include a requirement for anyone entering Beijing from anywhere to undergo 14 days of quarantine. Many are required to stay in a designated quarantine accommodation, costing several hundred yuan per night. Louis is now bringing through his own savings just to last out the year, hoping some dream vaccine can save the dying industry. His experience appears to be indicative of the impact of COVID-19 on the whole tourism sector in Beijing, according to a survey conducted by China's on-demand service giant Meituan Dianping. Just over 20% of tourism-related business in Beijing had resumed operation as of the 3-day Qingming national holiday in early April.
The International Monetary Fund forecasts that China's economic growth will rebound to 9.2% in 2021, showing the organization's confidence in China's economic recovery and development. The IMF issued its 2020 World Economic Outlook, predicting that the global economy will shrink by 3% in the second half of 2020 because of COVID-19 pandemic, a downgrade of 6.3% from January of 2020. But the IMF Deputy Managing Director Zhang Tao said the global GDP will see negative growth, an estimate of $5.5 trillion less than was predicted 2 months ago, which means a doubled amount of the total GDP growth in the whole of the year of 2019. From the figure, he thinks another point worth mentioning is that in the near future, countries should strengthen efforts to effectively control the pandemic, effectively prevent large-scale bankruptcy of enterprises, effectively prevent widespread unemployment, and practically maintain economic and financial stability. China's economy was hit hard by the epidemic in the first quarter of the year, but it had been gradually resuming vitality since the beginning of the second quarter as the epidemic prevention and control achieved results. Next, in the face of the pandemic home and abroad and great uncertainty brought by market fluctuation, timely, effective and balanced policies and measures remain the key to the continuous recovery and development of the Chinese economy. Zhang said the International Monetary Fund forecasts China's economic growth will rebound to 9.2% in 2021, becoming the large economy with the fastest recovery rate among G20 economies. It shows its confidence in the long-term development of the economy.
Hong Kong's first zero food waste cafe is aiming to raise awareness about the impact of human action on the environment and reduce the rubbish that is contributing to a future of overflowing waste at landfills. Mana Cafe, founded in 2011, has an eco-friendly business model based on entirely compostable meal that consists of plant-based food like roasted vegetables and tofu wrapped in flatbread, and 100% compostable packaging that can be turned into soil. The 55-year-old founder, Bopasi Gaya, was quoted as saying that they drop their food wastes, leftovers, packaging into the compost bins. It's collected and through an aerobic composting system takes about 6 to 8 weeks, gets composted and turns into soil. Akin to this hair goes back to garden centres, possibly some farms, landscaping and so on. Beirut-born Gaia worked in eco-fashion in Bangkok before moving to Hong Kong in November of 1992. Since then, he's been recognized as one of the city's leading eco-activists, opening various vegetarian restaurants and promoting a better understanding of the environment. Hong Kong wastes more than 3,500 tons of food each day, according to government statistics from 2018, and the amount of domestic waste, which includes food packaging and food, increased 4.8% last year to 2.45 million tons. The city's 3 landfills are expected to be filled up within a decade, and authorities have acknowledged limited land space along with growing waste are challenging factors. The government has invested in different waste management schemes, including O-Park, a facility which turns food waste into energy. Attempting to do away with food waste comes with challenges. Preventing customers from putting non-recyclables in their carefully designed compost bins has been a constant battle. Guy said costs is another big obstacle and can turn many restaurants off from being eco-friendly. He estimates roughly 5 to 10% of revenue is used to ensure Maya has nearly zero waste. Guy acknowledged that the recent coronavirus outbreak has made a small impact on his business, but his cafe still remains a popular destination of choice for the environmentally conscious.
Argentina sketched out its debt restructuring proposal to the international creditors on April the 16th, involving a 3-year grace period, large coupon cuts, and a smaller reduction in capital as it looks to win over bondholders to a deal. The economy minister, Martin Guzman, laid out the framework for the proposal, which would involve around $41.5 billion in relief, mostly in the form of reduced interest payments as the country grapples with a biting recession and the coronavirus pandemic. The offer, which will be formally launched on April the 17th, is a key step in a long-running saga as Argentina has looked to revamp its heavy debt load after political upheaval and a market crash last year that drove its bonds into distressed territory. The proposal includes a sizable cut to interest payments, amounting to saving around $37.9 billion, or 62% of the current total. The average proposed new rate would be 2.33%. There would be a smaller capital cut of around $3.6 billion, or 5.4% of the total debt stock. Analysts were mixed on the offer and were keen for more detail, but said the current environment, with many bonds already at 20 to 30 cents on the dollar, gave the offer some shine. Guzman, speaking in a televised news conference, said the government had still not reached an understanding about what would be sustainable with bondholders, who would have around 20 days from the formal launch before the offer closed. Under the proposal, Argentina would make no payments from 2020 to 2022, then start with an average of 0.5% coupons in 2023, which would rise over time but remain at sustainable levels. Argentina's proposal, which was initially expected to be made by mid-March, has been delayed by the global pandemic, which has buffeted the country's already fragile economy and led to a nationwide lockdown. In a presentation document, the government said 21 bonds worth around $66.2 billion would be eligible for the offer.
The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, or the AIIB, will create a crisis recovery facility to help its members, especially low and middle-income countries, to confront the current COVID-19 pandemic. Originally, the AIIB proposed to its board of directors to create a crisis recovery facility with an initial funding of $5 billion, but in a video conference, the board has decided to expand the funding from $5 to $10 billion. AIIB President Jin Liqan said in an interview with China's Central Television that the AIIB Board of Directors has unanimously supported the proposal made by the management department of the bank to expand the original $5 billion of financing to 10. We will reconsider the amount according to the development of the pandemic as well as the needs of our members. The financing will be offered in the next 18 months. The AIIB has decided to expand financing because the pandemic has developed too quickly in many countries. Jin said the pandemic has spread rapidly in many countries and many economies of the AIIB have encountered great difficulties. In particular, countries of Southeast Asia, South Asia, Central Asia and West Asia have been facing great pressures, so they have made such a decision in response to their needs. The fund will first be used to help low and middle income countries, according to Jin. The AIIB is a multilateral development bank with a mission to improve social and economic outcomes in Asia. Headquartered in Beijing, it began operations in January of 2016 and has now grown to 102 approved members worldwide.
This has been Business Review, your daily source for the most critical stories in the financial world. Tune in next time for the latest financial news impacting the world economy.